So hello everybody, ConvertWithMoss 15 is out and it brings support for Native Instruments Maschine. Many people ask about this format for several years now, and I finally looked into it, and it's specifically the format mxsnd. This is their sound format, and you can read all files in that format in version 2 and 3 of Maschine if it contains a sampler instance. And you can also write that format in format version 2 or 3, and you can select here the output format. Using the format as a source makes sense if you don't want to get locked into Maschine or use, for example, the auto sampler to sample some VST instruments or your external synths and bring it also into other formats. So that's pretty helpful. So let's open the auto sampler, and you do that by clicking here, and you need to choose here the mode auto to make this appear, all these options. And I configure it to sample it for 12 seconds from the internal source. We have here the FM8, and we go in the range of C1 to C3 with steps of 2, and we don't need velocity. We just use the maximum value, and we create a loop, normalize, and we trim silence, so the full package. So let's do that. The reason why I'm taking such a long time is that we don't need to actually bother with the loop, but nevertheless we have one. So, and here we finally have the result, and it's also sounding quite nicely, and we have it here on the sound too. And let's save that and make sure to save it with samples. So we have it, and we don't want to have it here. Let's instead, for demonstration purposes, we put it here on the desktop. Let's simply call it example, and let's say that's our disk space. Why not? Okay, so let's do that. So we have it here, and let's reset that, and let's reset that so we don't have anything sounding. Let's check what we have here on the desktop. It's the example sound, and now we could, for example, say we want to convert that. Let's select the folder. For example, let's say you could put it into general SFZ format, or if you want to take it on a road and prefer MPC for that, you could create MPC file from that. But just for demonstration purposes, let's say we go here with Bitwig multisample format. Let's convert that. And it wrote here in the output folder, I configured a DSpace multisample file, and let's check that out. So here is the output folder, and here is a multisample file which contains also all the samples, and let's load that onto a new track in Bitwig. Maybe close Maschine first so we see what's going on here. And let's load now the multisample, and here we have it. Let's check it out. And we have our bass inside of Bitwig now. But for sure, we can also go the other way and bring our own sounds into Maschine. So therefore, we select Maschine as a destination format. And we say we want to convert some pad sounds here from my own library in Kontakt format. And I want to convert all these pads now for Maschine 2 or 3. You can decide which format you prefer. And let's say go. And it converts all these sounds also into the output folder, and we can keep that running. And here we will see all the pads it converted. We could even cancel that. We have more than enough to show you here. So let's have here good old O1W samples, and we can load that O1W sound here in the first patch, and we have it here. And this is working again nicely. Maybe a word, what is supported? We can have a look at the documentation. So there is this documentation file which explains all the different parameters in detail, which you can find on GitHub in a documentations folder. And for Maschine 2.3, what is supported is we only have single presets which you can convert. We have lots of metadata, so basically everything here is supported. We don't have any groups. So if you have source material, for example, with release groups or which have different settings for groups, this will not work in Maschine Sampler because it's a pretty simple and straightforward sampler. But you have the basics, you have root keys, key and velocity, low and high, and you have play start, and these things are there, but there are no crossover fades, and some other specialties like release triggers are not in that sampler. We also have loops, but no fancy modes or anything. And we have an amplitude envelope, pretty simple one, attack, decay, sustain, release, but that does the job for most cases. We don't have any envelope slopes, but at least you have velocity for the envelope. And we have pitch bend, but only in one direction, which can be different in one direction only. And we have only one modulation envelope. So you can either have it on the filter cutoff or you can have it on the pitch. The logic when you convert into Maschine is if there is a cutoff envelope, that one is preferred. And if there is no cutoff envelope, then the modulation envelope is used for the pitch if there is such an envelope required. Yeah, and here are three filter types supported: low pass filter, band pass filter, and a high pass filter with 2 poles. So much already for ConvertWithMoss 15, now with support for Native Instruments Maschine. And until next time, make some funky music.